Okay, so now we understood about what is global variable, what is local variable, and then how to work on it. I think after that we don't have there's only one small that is not important for us, but let's go back to the PowerPoint slides. Uh, it's recording. Yes, it is recording. Okay. So if you see this one, I mean, I was talking about all the doc string, how to access the variables of the class by calling the class name itself. So this is a bit of revision of those things. Small problems that you can see. Over here, I have defined a class called class my class. This is my second class. Although this code is correct, but the doc string should be always having 3 inverted comma. Okay, that is actually a good way of doing it. Then I have defined a global variable as a equals to 10. I have defined a function or a method in that class, which is define function itself, and I have used a method, or actually I have used some comments under that particular function, which is print hello. That's it. So this is one small problem for us to do to understand. Now, if I want to print out the value of a, okay, this is another way they have done it. Print my class dot a, which is 10. Now this will work. This will work, not a problem, as I can see. But the best way to do that is actually if you could have done something called percentage and percentage d. In that way, if you have used the string literal. But over here, my class dot a print a, that's fine. It will definitely create a print a. But the convention is that you should use percentage d an operator as well. Okay. Then print my class dot function. Now, when I'm calling my class, which is this is my class, under this class there's a method called function. So I'm calling the function of that particular class. So it is not going to run that class. I'm just printing. What I'm printing? I'm printing that this particular function has been defined in which memory location. So this is actually called function. My class function is defined at this particular memory location. That's it. So this is actually for our understanding that where it is stored. Then I'm saying, can I print the doc string of that particular class that has been defined? So what I have done, print my class dot underscore doc underscore. Then this is the one. Then it actually prints the doc string that is defined under the class, which is this is my second class. So from here I understood three things. One is I am printing the value of a variable that is defined in the class. I'm printing a function location that is defined in the class. I'm also printing the doc string that is defined in the class. Just an example for you to understand a bit more with the my function and with the function in the class. Let's continue further. Again, this is class, my class. So this is my second class again, variable, one function. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating an object of that class now. So I'm creating an object, which is my class. So that means my class was a blueprint for me, and now an object has been created from that my class blueprint. So I'm saying print my class.function. That means it is going to print the function, which is my class, the function in which memory location is stored. That's clear. Then print object.function. So when I'm saying, so my class.function has got a memory location, and when I'm creating an object of that particular my class, so they also have got the same function. So object is actually, so now object has been created from this my class. So I'm going to access that function of that object, which is ob.function. They actually inbound method in the my class function, and their memory location is different over here. So that means two things you understood. You can call a function by the class itself, where it's been defined, and you can create an object, and you can also call the function with that object name itself. What we're trying to do, we're trying to access everything. But in general, the best practice is you call a class, then after that you call objects. And with that object, you use all the parameters that you do. That is the best practice that we do. But that doesn't mean that I cannot use class to call all the functions over here as well. Okay. So now I've created an object. So object is actually what? An instances of the class. This means a clone of that class that inherits all the properties that is defined in the class itself. So my initial class function was different in one memory location. My object class function is different in another memory location, and they are actually inbound method to a my class function. Then now I'm going to call that function. It's not printing, so I'm not going to print. So printing is giving me the operation. Now I'm going to call that function, which is called function that I have said, using the object called ob. So object is the object, and then the function is the method. It calls this function over here, and once I call this function, this self will be changed as object, because you know that is actually an object for me. So this is called class initialization. So I'm calling that object. What is the output of that object? Which is called print hello. So this is hello for us to print. Okay. So that means I can run any sort of functions that is defined in a class, or it can be tied to an object as well. Okay. You can also say my class of function. It will also do the same thing. Hello. If you say object of function, it will also do the same thing. Hello. Okay. So this is actually just a couple of examples to make you understand how we actually can access the variable data, how we can access the functions, how we can access the memory location of the function as well, how we can access the doc string of the function. Just a couple of examples. Now, I would like to show you some string method as well. This is actually another important class that we use. This is a built-in, this is actually another important class type that we can use as a string method. And you can see there are a lot of complex things that are there over here, which I'll show you in the coming slides. But with the string method also, you can, with the string operations, you can do really complex operation as well with the string class. And what we can do, I will show you in the coming slides. Now, why I'm teaching all these things to you? Because just to keep in mind that when you'll be building your applications, and if you're creating some sort of management system, okay, or a data storage system, or a data portal, okay, then you might need to create a user, you might need to create what is it called, user with all the attributes. Then you might need to find out the number of users, the number of employees you have. You might need to change the value of the age of the users and everything. There are a number of things that you can do as well. Then you can find that what users purchase, what they have sell. So all these type of things will be created using this type of class and functions. This is really a good way. At least after this class, there's one takeaway message for you, is that I should know how to create a simple student portal with the object method. How will I do the interface building? That is our next class. In the next class, I'll show you how to build a nice interface as well. Front end will look like something, back end will look like something as well. Okay. We already talked about last week. We talked about the graphics. This week I'm talking about all these object methods that is written. Next week I'll be talking about the interface building. Then after that I'll be talking about the game development as well. We'll go slowly and slowly that way. Okay. All these are application oriented. So just practice. Okay. Practice. That is important. Now let's start with the string function. So let's give some examples and you'll understand. Now there are, as I told you, there are some class attributes like doc string, this class documentation. The name is the class name, module, in which module the class has been defined, the basis, and the dictionary, what is the class's name. So these are actually all built-in class attributes that you use to define the class. But anyway, this is something that it's for us just to understand how the class architecture is, and that will come to you once I'll show you some code. Okay, but this is something not a part of a code. This is something about understanding the functions, right? So, do we need that thing? Yes, we need it, because in order to know the whole architecture of the class, but it is not actually a part of code that will help you to build anything. It is actually something that gives you the explanation of the particular class. And when you do advanced operations with multiple classes, this will come to as a help to you as well. But now the priority is a bit less for us, but it is important to know what are the different types of attributes of the doc string that you can use to find the architecture of the class. Anyway, I'll show you that thing as well in the coming slides. Here it is. Now, what I'm saying, this is a class, and then again, I should use doc string like this. So this is actually the common base class for all employees. All the employees will have the common base. What is the common base? Name, salary, display count, display employees. They're the one that you have done already. So these are all things that you have done, have already taught you. Now this is not about running the code. This is about actually find out what are the doc string, what is the doc string, what is the name, what is the module, what is the basis, and what is the dictionary that I'd like to see. I told you all these 5 attributes that we have. I want to show that in the code as well, so that you can understand what is doc, what is dictionary, what is module, what is name, and what is basis. So first one, print employee.doc, which is the doc string, employee.__doc__, right? __ doc __. It will print the doc string of this class, which is actually a class level, which is called common base for all employees. Okay, so just print that one. So this is a doc string. So this is a doc string that we have finished. Now, what is called doc string name _name. So when I say employee name, employer name, so this actually tells us what is the class name that I'm using, the main module. So the class name is actually over here is what? Employee. Understood? So this is the name of the class. Then I'm saying module, and this particular class has been defined to a module by default, right? So what is the name of the module? It's called main. Although you cannot see it by default, it is defined under the main module. When you have multiple modules of multiple classes, it will tell us which module class goes to which module. It will tell us. It will come to you. Once you start developing applications, it will come to you. Then class basis. So what is actually the basis of that particular class, as I can see? Now this basis is that it is creating, this particular class has been created to create objects, right? Because there's a self-initialization, there is objects and methods of those things, the number of employees and everything. So the base is actually the class and the object from that particular base. By default, they have understood that thing. It's actually object creation class, because whenever we define a class, we define the class to create objects. That is the basis for this one. That is by default. They have put it already. And the last one is called dictionary. So dictionary means what are all the bases and everything totals we have. We have module, main, doc, common base class for all these things, display count, then display employee, which is the memory location, everything. Then there's no attributes, there's no weak references. All these things are talking about the dictionary right now. So when I say underscore dictionary, it actually gives me class name, where is the locations, how many classes, how many variables, all these things are there. Now, why I'm saying all these things, if you need it in the future, you can look into it, but these are the 5 billion attributes that can be used to understand the architecture of the class. That's it. Now, this is something for you to practice, but this will not actually help you to build your application, but this will actually help you to understand how a class will look like. Okay, so that's why I don't give too much importance to this, but yes, when you go for debugging, when you want to understand about the class architecture, this is actually 5 important modules that you can see to find out the architecture of the class. Right. Now let's, not PDF code because I've already finished the PDF code. Let's continue further with the Python operator. Now this is actually the last bit of this one. I'll start in this way. When you actually do any sort of simple basic operations, if you have a variable called x and y, you just say x plus y, right? And then it will add the 2 values x and y. That is possible. It's a simple Python program with a main module, and then you define some variables, and then after that you put x and y and you add it up. That's it. But when these particular variables are defined in a class, you cannot do this operation, because this is actually called a method or attribute of that class, right? Or a variable of that class. A variable of that class cannot be just simply added by a class operator. So that's why the operator overloading is important. Overloading means that we overlay this operator with the class functions, with the methods, and that method will help us to add those variables that we define in the class. So this is a very important thing. We define all the variables, we define everything, but if you don't know how to add, subtract, division, then what is the purpose of using the variables, right? So how are you going to add those variables? How are you going to add one variable data from one class and another variable from another class? How are you going to add those things? Those are the things is called Python operator overloading. Not only addition, I will show you these slides over here. You can see addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, everything, okay? Bitwise and power, remainder, flow, division, everything. For each and every operator, you have a method defined for the self other, that is one class, other class, one class, other class. In that way, all the operations can be done by using some methods. And this is called the methods that are defined in order to do the operations of all the variables that we defined in a class. Okay. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, and these are all the methods. Anyway, you don't need to memorize that thing. It will come to you once you start practicing. So I'll show you how to use that one as well as a part of in the coming slides. Similarly, about bitwise operator, logical operator, like greater than equal to, less than equal to, not equal to. These are all actually another sort of methods that we can use. Greater, self other, greater equal to, okay, less than, less equal to, equal. All these actually are the methods that we can use. So these are all built-in methods that will be used for comparison. If a variable of one class is greater than the variable of another class, you use this type of method. You cannot say if x is greater than y. You cannot say that type of thing. It is not possible. So you have to use this type of method to do that type of operations. Okay, so this is called operator overloading in the class. Now let me show you some small examples and with error as well. Okay, let's start with this one. I have defined a class called point. So this is called class point name. It has got initialization, so it can be initialized, so it can create its own object, self. It has pushed two variables, x and y, which is x equals to 0, y equals to 0. Initially, it has actually put that thing. Now let's start. So I've defined an object P1 of the class point. So this is a self is point. X is now 2, y is now 3. Clear, guys? 2 and 3? Right. So I can say self.x, which is P1.x is 2. P1.x is 2. And then P1.y equals to 3. Clear? So this is a variable that belongs to an object called P1, right? This is also a variable y object belong to an object called P1. That's fine. Same goes with P2. Again, I have created another object with P2. So P2.x equals to -1. P2.y equals to 2. Done. Now I want to add P1 plus P2. I want to add this P1 and plus P2. In general, I thought that P1.x plus P2.x and then P1.y plus P2.y. That's what we added, right? When you add, you have done some vectors, right? Vectors 2, 3, 1, 2 in this way. So you add this, you add this one, x, y, y. This is how you add, right? So when I say print P1 plus P2, it is showing me an error because it is unsupported operand. Because as I told you, that you cannot directly use an operator to do the class variable additions, right? So that's an error. So how we have solved the problem? This is how we have solved the problem. Problem solved in a way, little bit extra line of code, but very effective as well. Class point, define again self.x and y. Define addition, because I'm going to do addition, right? So that's why the method I'm going to use is addition. First, second, then return point, and everything is there. Now let's start how it works. P1 is point 2 and 3, so I've created an object as P1 of the class point. So my self is P1. So P1.x equals to 2, then P1.y equals to 3. So this is done, right? Finish. Then same goes with P2. I've created another object called P2. P2.x equals to -1. P2.y equals to 2. So that means I've created two objects and I have assigned two variables to all those two objects as well. Clear, guys? Up to this clear? Understood? Straight? Okay. Now I'm going to add this one. So what I'm saying, print P1 plus P2. Same thing I have done over here, but it will show an error, but it will not show an error. What actually happens when the interpreter will start adding up the class variables P1 and P2, it looks into the operator which is plus. So it look for the method that has been defined or not. If the method is defined, then it will not show an error. If the method is not defined, it will say that it will not support the operand, right? So this plus will call this add function that is called operator overloading. So I'm overloading that with this operator plus has been overloaded with the add function. So define add, it will automatically call this one. First and second. My first is P1 and my second is P2. Clear, guys? So my first is P1 and my second is P2. Now I'm saying x equals to first.x plus new.y. Why have put new? I could have said second.x also. but I just wanted to make it a bit confusing so that we understand all those variable changes as well. So when I'm saying x equals to first dot x, that means my first is p1 dot x plus new actually now is replaced, second has been replaced with new, right? So I could have said second dot x. That would be right way answer, but I deliberately changed it to new so that I can make you understand how this variable can be changed as well in the local method as well. So now it's new, which is second dot x, which is p2 dot x. Similarly, y equals to p1 dot y plus p2 dot y. These two. So now if I add it, 2 plus minus 1 is 1, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So that means my x is now 1 and my y is now 5, right? Clear? So I extracted all those values and I added them. Then once I have done it, then I am saying, look, this is actually how, I mean, you have to understand this whole thing. So once I have done that thing, so this operator has been done it, then I'm saying return point x and y. So now I'm creating another object of the class point with a new variable x and y. So what is my x now over here? 1. And what is my y over here? 5. So now self means point. Over here there's no other variable, it's point. Point dot x equals to 1. Point dot y equals to 5. Clear? So this is done. Now that is already done, finished. So that means I got point dot x equals to 1, point dot y equals to 5. So I got both the things. So this is actually point, so point has been already done. My job is not finished yet. So this one has been already done, addition plus creating a new object. Now I'm saying print. So when I'm going to call that print, so I'm print of what? Actually, I'm going to print that particular addition of these two numbers, and this two number has been changed into a point. So when I'm going to say print, this print will call the string because I'm going to print the whole class itself. Print string self. What is my self? Over here, point. I've already created the point actually. So that is my self now. So because this has been changed to point now, right? So this is actually point now for me. I've created a point class, right? So when I say print point, that means it will go to the string over here. Print actually asks for string function to come. So I'm going to print it in a string format, and myself is now point. So I'm just saying return. So this is actually line of code. You don't need to memorize. Don't get panicked by the complexity of the code. Just try to understand and understand when you're going to use it. This is the beauty of the code. We are not over here to memorize the code. We are over here to understand the code. And once you understand the code, you just implement that thing. None of the developers, I mean, they don't memorize the code. They know actually where the codes are and everything. They just start stitching it properly. Okay. So when I'm saying return, so I've got a return function. So it will return this particular. So this function has got some return function. It is going to return into 0 and 1 format. That means into a 2-number format actually, 0 and 1. This is one code. Even if you ask me, I don't remember. But I know this is actually one way actually how to do it. So 0 and 1. Dot format. So this is a format. I have to format that thing. In which way? Self.x, which is point1.x, which is 1. Self.y, which is point1.y, which is 5. So you have to return that. So this return will, what it will do? It will return the value and it will print that value, which is 1 and 5 in this format, 1, 5. So this is actually 1, 0 and 1 in this way. This is there will be comma separator, and the format will be self.x, self.y, which is 1.5. Now, if you ask me that this code is complex, yes, this code is complex, but I don't care actually because this code is already there for us. We know actually if I want to format 0.1, okay, 0.1, and the dot format self.1, x, self.y, it will give me the print. If I understand the code, it's easy for us to do it. Now you'll get more complex string operations. But the way to practice it is you just practice it, and if you just understand the code. And if you know that these codes are there, as I'm telling you again, all the assessments are open book, your final exams is open book. So I'm not looking after you guys to memorize the code or to, what I'm trying to do is that you just understand the code, practice it, and once you start practicing, you'll understand which line of the code from which material I should add together to answer my solutions. Okay, so now it will print 1 and 5. Clear, guys? Understood? How about you guys? Understood? How about you guys? Understood? Very good. How about online students? Have you understood what I have said? Clear? One, two, couple of more. Very good. So if you've understood that thing, now the only way to solve it actually is if you just practice that type of thing. All the codes are there already added, so you can use those codes. You can practice it by yourself as well, and you can see how we can keep on going with this printing. Now the beauty of this thing, what I have done is actually I was trying to do the operator overloading. So I'm printing a string on a string format. I'm adding it using an addition operator. Now, if you know how to do addition, you can also do subtractions, division, and everything. So just go home and practice this once. Practice this once. Google it in the book also. If you don't need it, because you already know how to do this subtraction, multiplication, same format. Just do it. You'll find the same answer. It is not that hard actually, but you have to just practice it. This is my kind request. Just guys, practice it. If you practice, it is easy. Life is very easy for all of us. Okay. There is another one. There's another one we'd like to see. Just another way of doing it. Actually, I'm just giving some examples. So the more you give examples, the more you'll be a better person. Sometimes it might be boring, but sometimes it might be very interesting as well. Because the more you look at the code, the more you understand. It is easier for you to do. Again, another class called greet_point. Okay, greet_point is a greet. I'm saying so it's got initialization, self, x and y. So it got two variable x and y. Let's start from here. I'm creating an object called point1 of the class greet_point. So this is 3 and y is 5. So I'm saying greet point1.x point1.x equals to 3, point1.y equals to 5. Done. Same point2, which is greet_point again. Again, I'm calling that creating another object of the greet_point class. So point1.x equals to -1, point1.y equals to 4. So same thing you have done. Now I'm going to create another object, which is point3, which will be addition of point1 plus point2. We know actually now this is operator overloading. So this particular operator will ask for this one for addition, and then they'll add it up. So what I'm doing over here, I am calling self and other. You know this addition self and other. Now I'm pushing the whole class itself. Okay. So this point1 is actually what? Self, and then this point2 is actually what? Other. So point1.x plus point2.x, comma point1.y plus point2.y, and I'm returning that value. So once I return that value, that means my value will be something which is called 3 plus 1 minus 1 is 2, 5 and plus 4 is 9. So it will return the value. And this value will be going to a 0.3. Now, when I'm saying 0.3, that means what I'm doing now, I'm already creating an object of 0.3 with two values. One is 2, and the other one is 9. So this 0.3 will again call this greet_point, because I'm going to create another object with 2 and 9. So I can say now 0.3.x is 2 and 0.3.y is 9 now. I can say that thing. So this is another object I have created. Done. Now I am saying print 0.3. So when I'm going to say print 0.3, that means I'm actually calling this string function again. So this is self. Self is actually 0.3 for me. So I'm saying I'm just converting that, because these are actually numbers. I'm converting to string self.x, which is this is 2, converting to a string. Then string self.y, which is actually 9. So the way I'm writing, string equals to string, which is this one, self.x, which is 2 plus. This class is actually called concatenating. So I'm just adding up two strings together. I'm not just adding the value. I'm just adding up the two strings. So plus, then there's a comma. So as you can see, there's a comma over here. There's a comma, and then string self.y, which is 9. Now this actual string is there, and then I'm just returning that string, and that string will be printed as 2, 9. Now again, over here also, this code is very easy for us to understand. It is not hard actually. Okay, if you see, I have just used that 0.3 over here. Then I have said, first of all, the first part is 0.3.x, which is actually 2. Convert that into a string because I'm going to print in a string format. Then I'm saying string, which is 2 plus this passage is using for to add or to concatenate the other part of the string with comma, so 2 comma 9 plus string self.y, which is point.y, which is 9. So this is string 2, this is string 9, and this has been put into the string function, and then I'm saying return that string. So this 2 comma 9 is actually a complete string for me now, and this string will return to the print function and will print that string as 2 and 9. And that is actually how it has been printed. Now there are a number of ways you can play with these classes. Okay, so the thing is that, again I am saying, the thing is that these type of things are not hard for us to understand if you just know this code properly. And what you should do, you just practice these things. Okay, no need of memorizing this code, just practicing, and that will make an end of whole thing. I will continue this thing in the next, this actually exception handling. I'll continue this in the next class. That is not an important thing for us, but I'd like to finish off this one over here because I don't want to make it too critical. From here, there are a couple of things we have understood, that when you're going to use Python and when you're going to use class and the variable, there should be some methods that will be used for adding, subtractions, multiplication, and there's also a string method that allows you to print the values according to the string format that you do. So this is one format. Then I have shown you another format over here. So the more you know about this format, you just need to copy and paste your code and write the whole code as well. Okay, so my expectation and my recommendation to all of you will be, just go home, these all the codes are there, just practice it. I've done some addition, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, everything you do, you create multiple methods, multiple objects, multiple users, and see how it goes. Because if you practice these things, it will definitely help you with your software application that you're going to develop. Okay, and we also showed about local variable, global variable, what is the class, what are the attributes, how to initialize the class. So this whole class was based on class and objects. Now you just need to practice a bit on these things, and that will bring the overall satisfaction of your whole this class itself. Okay, it is not critical. Criticality comes when you don't practice. If you understand the code, if I can make you understand the code, and if you know this code is doing this thing, you can use that code. And as I told you again, that our final exam will be also, I think our final exam is sometimes on 10th or 11th of October. Okay, that is the date actually that they're giving us. But it will come to you. It's still in a draft phase. So that will be there, our exam, and your exam will be completely open book, no problem. Okay, and I will upload your past exam papers as well, maybe in week 9 or week 10. Okay, I'll upload the past exam papers as well for you to practice, and your tutorials as well for you to practice, and you can keep on going with that one. So have you understood so far what I have said? Is that clear to all of you guys? Is it clear to all of you? How about you guys? Clear? Good. Then online students, have you understood what I have said? Is that clear to all of you? Only one, couple of more. I would like to see, is it clear? Good. So what actually you should do now, right now, is that you just practice those things. You just practice those things. It will be much more clearer to all of you as well. Now, before I conclude the class, I would also like to show you a bit of assessment. Okay, I have requested Bhavan Shang actually to help us with writing the code. Now, keeping in mind, this is your assignment 2, right? Which is due on September 10th, right? And then there's a marking rubric as well. I cannot write. Marking rubric and the due date and everything is there. Okay. So this is your assignment 2 file. This is your text file. You might have already seen all those things. And this is one file called copy your solutions here.py. So this is an important thing when you, so this is only, you should be submitting only one py file, only one py file. Okay. If you have got 4 programs, I don't need 4 py file. I need only one py file so that I can run it in one go. That is actually how it should go on. So this is your py file. What you should do, you just rename it according to your group number, group7.py, for example, and then upload that py file. Okay. it should be uploaded as a zip, or can we upload the direct PY file, Bhavan? We can upload it. Yeah, we are uploading direct PY file, so you can upload the PY file as an assignment as well. Now you see over here, Bhavan has written something. The case switch has been done in the copier solutions to find out. So this is actually how it is work. You don't need to do anything. Your work will be just here. Whatever solutions you have created, you just copy that thing, your first solution here. Then next one in the next block, third one in the solution 3, and fourth one is the solution 4. You just copy and paste it and then save it. And run the whole thing, you'll understand that it can be done 1, 2, 3, 4. This particular command will give you a switch or case sort of thing. I mean, it asks you, press 1 to run 1, press 2 to run 2, press 3 to run 3, press 4. So we can do what? We'll just press 1, 2, 3, 4 and see all the results. So our initial aim will be to see whether all the programs are working fine or not. If the program's working fine, that's fine. If the program's not working, then okay, what is the problem with the program? How much mark we can give on the program one as well. But now if you give me 4 different files, then I have to finish one, second one, third one, fourth one. But if I have everything in one file, that is much more easier. That's why we have already created a PY file for you. You just, once you finish all the code, you just open that PY file and copy those code under this each and every block that you have. That's it. And run one at a time and see whether it is working or not. Okay. So this is my only expectation from all of you as a group work. One PY file from your group, and that PY file should be one single PY file. And we have already given you the assignment solution submission as well. Okay. Clear? Understood? Clear, guys? Okay. Thank you very much for that, for your time as well. And we will keep on continuing next week with the Kinter as well. So before I finish the lecture, I'd like to ask you guys, are you with me, right? You're understanding, right? Huh? Do you understand my class, right? I know that you understand my class. That is for sure. However, guys, do you understand my class, right? That is clear. Online students, do you understand my class, right? Okay. So, I mean, it would be really pity for me that if you don't understand my class, that would be really pity for me. After going through each and every line of code one by one, if you don't understand, that's really pretty. Now, I am doing my part, right? I'm doing my part. I'm trying to make it explain slowly and slowly and slowly. I'm trying to make it explain. Now, your part is just to practice, okay? I want every one of you successfully complete this unit so that I don't want to see you again in the next year, okay? That is the first thing. And then the second thing is that I'd like to see you in other courses, whatever I'll be teaching you, hopefully. So I'll be seeing another course, another unit. But for this one, just keep on continuing, and that will bring a conclusion of the lecture. And then I've also given the tutorial as well. You can download the tutorial, you can start working on the tutorial as well. So thank you guys. Thank you online for joining us. And then you can still stay here. I've got 3 tutors with me right now, and then they will also here to help you as well, whatever you need.